Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive.
Always fun to dig into these.
Yeah, so today we're going to be looking at Chipotle.
Chipotle, yeah, one of my
Oh,
favorite
right.
places to eat.
I think you mentioned that before we started recording.
I did
So maybe a little bias in our deep dive today.
maybe just a little bit, but I'll try to stay objective as always.
Okay, good deal. Well, we're going to be looking at, of course, official company filings, their 10Ks, their 10Qs, anything else that's relevant that we found on the SEC website.
Exactly, and I think we found some pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, we always do with these.
Always some surprises.
So we're going to be talking about their growth strategy, how they manage risk, and even how they reward those folks at the top.
Sounds good.
All right, so let's just dive right in.
Yeah.
I guess, one of the things that really jumped out at me was just how much Chipotle is relying on digital orders for their revenue.
Yeah, you're looking at that 2023 10K, right?
I am.
Yeah, 39.4% of their revenue in 2022 came from digital orders.
Wow, that's incredible. So, I mean, for folks listening at home, that's like almost 4 out of every 10 burritos are ordered online.
Pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, definitely tapping into that convenience factor, but I'm sure it's not without its challenges.
Oh, definitely not. At first glance, you think, wow, that's great, all those digital sales. But then you start thinking about, okay, well, how much of that is actually going to Chipotle's bottom line?
Yeah, what about those third-party delivery services like DoorDash and Uber Eats?
Exactly. Those platforms are taking a big cut of each order.
Right, so it's like this trade-off between reach and control. They're reaching more customers, but they're giving up some control over the customer experience and potentially their profits.
And their data, right?
Oh, yeah, good point. All that customer data is going to those third-party platforms, which
Yeah.
gives them a lot of leverage.
It's a real balancing act for Chipotle.
Absolutely.
Right.
So speaking of balancing acts,
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of discussion about menu price increases
Yeah.
in their 2022 10K.
Right. Yeah. They strategically raise prices throughout the year.
Makes sense. They've got to deal with those rising delivery costs, and then you've got labor expenses and just overall inflation.
It all adds up.
Yeah. But, I mean, at some point, you have to wonder if those price hikes start to alienate customers, especially those who are more price sensitive.
That's the risk, right?
Yeah.
It's a tough call for any company trying to navigate this economic climate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it seems like Chipotle is betting on the strength of their brand and the perceived value of their offerings.
Right. They're hoping customers will be willing to pay a premium for what they see as a higher quality, customizable dining experience.
Now, let's talk about the people behind those burritos, their workforce.
Okay.
So their filings highlight a global workforce of over 116,000 employees as of the end of 2023.
Wow, that's a lot of employees.
Yeah, big operation. And, I was actually surprised to see that despite all the talk about unionization in the fast casual dining sector, only one Chipotle restaurant has successfully unionized.
Right, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So I dug into their filings a bit more to see if they shed any light on their labor relations strategy.
And what did you find?
Well, they really emphasize their commitment to employee well-being, and they highlight their strong internal promotion rates.
So perhaps that's their way of trying to create a positive work environment and maybe even head off any unionization efforts?
Could be. It's a reminder that a company's approach to labor and employee satisfaction can really impact their bottom line.
Absolutely. Happy employees often translate into happy customers.
All right, now for the topic, everyone always wants to know about executive compensation.
The juicy stuff.
Exactly. So what can we glean from these filings about how Chipotle rewards those at the very top?
Well, I have to say their compensation packages are pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot more than just base salaries.
Right. You've got stock options, performance share awards, even provisions for prorated bonuses in case of certain types of termination.
It's interesting they even have a clause about recouping executive compensation if there's a financial restatement.
Oh, you mean their clawback policy?
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's designed to hold executives accountable for any financial misconduct or misstatements.
So it's like a safeguard for shareholders.
Exactly. It's a way to protect their interests and incentivize responsible financial reporting.
So it's not just about rewarding success, it's also about aligning executive behavior with the company's financial integrity.
Right. They need to be held accountable, too.
Makes sense. All right, so let's shift gears now and talk about Chipotle's growth strategy. Their 2024 10K reveals a pretty bold plan for international expansion.
Yeah, they're really eyeing growth in the Middle East, particularly through franchising.
Which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It allows them to tap into local expertise and minimize their upfront investment.
Definitely, but it's not without its risks.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, navigating a new cultural landscape, managing supply chains in unfamiliar territories,
Mm.
finding and retaining qualified personnel in a different labor market.
And let's not forget about the geopolitical factors that can add complexity to any international expansion effort.
Yeah, there's a whole other layer of challenges.
It is, but if they can successfully navigate those challenges, the rewards could be huge.
Absolutely. If expanding their global footprint could open up new revenue streams and really solidify their position as a leader in the fast casual dining industry.
And potentially expose a whole new set of customers to the deliciousness of Chipotle.
I guess that's the bias creeping in again.
Maybe just a little bit, but you can't deny those burritos are pretty tasty.
Fair enough. But speaking of navigating new territory in today's digital age, Chipotle can't afford to overlook data privacy concerns.
Right, and their 2024 filing acknowledges those legal and reputational risks tied to data breaches and privacy violations.
It's a high-stakes game with a lot of moving pieces and evolving regulations like the GDPR in Europe and the CCPA here in the U.S.
Absolutely. Consumers are more aware of their data rights than ever before, and regulators are stepping up enforcement.
So the question is, how is Chipotle addressing this evolving landscape? Are they just talking the talk, or are they actually walking the walk when it comes to data privacy?
Well, their 10K outlines a multi-pronged approach.
Oh, good. I was hoping they were taking this seriously.
They're investing in cybersecurity measures to prevent data breaches, which is critical in this day and age, but they're also implementing privacy enhancing technologies and providing training to employees on data protection best practices.
It sounds like they're trying to build a culture of data privacy
Yeah, and that's essential for maintaining customer trust.
and avoiding those hefty fines and reputational damage that can come with a data breach.
Exactly. One misstep could have serious consequences.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground already, but let's shift gears now and take a closer look at some of those key financial metrics from Chipotle's recent 10Q filings.
Sounds good.
I'm always interested in seeing how these numbers tell the story of a company's performance, and their 2024 second quarter 10Q reveals some interesting insights into their short-term financial health.
Such as,
Oh, for instance, their total current liabilities increased slightly from the end of 2023.
is that a cause for concern?
Not necessarily. If you look at the breakdown, we see that accounts payable increased while accrued payroll and benefits decreased.
So maybe they're strategically managing their cash flow?
Yeah, perhaps taking advantage of favorable payment terms with their suppliers.
It's a common practice to optimize cash flow and working capital.
Right now, let's revisit their impressive digital revenue. Does their 2024 third quarter 10Q reveal any shifts in that trend?
It does. Their food and beverage revenue for the first 9 months of 2024 exceeded $8.4 billion.
Wow, that's a lot of burritos.
It is, and when you compare that to their revenue for the same period in 2023, it represents a very healthy year-over-year increase.
So they're definitely still on a growth trajectory.
It seems so.
But of course, revenue is just one piece of the puzzle. What about profitability? Are they managing their expenses effectively?
Well, their 10Qs provide a detailed breakdown of their expenses and margins, which helps us see the bigger picture. In their second quarter 10Q for 2024, they itemized their other operating costs, which include things like marketing delivery fees, utilities, and technology.
And I see that those costs increase year over year, both in absolute dollars and as a percentage of revenue.
You're right. Rising costs are a challenge for many businesses in the current economic climate.
Yeah, and for Chipotle, managing those costs effectively is key to maintaining healthy profit margins.
Absolutely. Every penny counts.
So how are they tackling this challenge? Are they cutting corners, or are they finding ways to be more efficient?
Well, it seems like they're focusing on operational efficiency to control costs wherever possible. And remember those strategic menu price increases we talked about earlier?
Oh, yeah.
That's one way they're trying to offset these rising costs.
So it's all about walking that tightrope between keeping prices attractive for customers and maintaining those healthy margins.
Exactly. It's a delicate balancing act.
Now let's zoom in on labor costs, a category that's always in the spotlight, especially in the restaurant industry.
It's a big one for sure.
And their filings provide some insights into their human capital management practices. They emphasize creating a positive work environment, investing in employee development, and promoting from within.
It sounds like they're taking a proactive approach to attracting and retaining talent.
Yeah, which can be a major advantage in a tight labor market.
Definitely. And if you look at their labor costs as a percentage of revenue for the first 9 months of 2024, we see a slight decrease compared to the same period in 2023.
That's interesting. Do you think their efforts to improve employee satisfaction and retention are actually helping to keep those labor costs in check?
It's certainly possible happy employees are often more productive and less likely to leave, which can reduce costs associated with turnover and training.
Makes sense, but it's important to remember that multiple factors influence labor costs, including wage inflation and overall operational efficiency.
You're right, it's not a simple equation.
Okay, so let's switch gears one more time and talk about another key aspect of Chipotle's financial health, their cash flow.
The lifeblood of any business.
Exactly. And their statements of cash flow provide a granular look at the cash coming into and going out of the business. And one metric that really stands out is their consistently strong cash flow from operations.
Oh yeah, it's been positive for several years running.
That's a really good sign, right?
It indicates that their core business is generating enough cash to cover their operating expenses and investments.
So what are they doing with all that cash? Are they sitting on it or are they putting it to work?
Well, their 2024 10K outlines their capital allocation priorities.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so they're investing in new restaurant construction, which is key for their growth strategy.
Hmm.
They're also doing share repurchases, maintaining existing restaurants, and using it for general corporate purposes.
So they're reinvesting in growth, returning value to shareholders, and maintaining a strong financial foundation.
It seems like a pretty balanced approach.
It does. It suggests they're focused on both short-term and long-term value creation, which is essential for sustainable success.
Agreed.
Now, every business faces its own unique set of risks and challenges. So what are some of the potential hurdles that Chipotle is navigating?
Their 10K actually dedicates a significant portion to outlining those risks.
Oh, good. They're not shying away from it.
Not at all. Some of the key concerns they highlight include increasing wage inflation, which we've already touched on, rising ingredient costs, ongoing food safety concerns, competition within the fast casual dining sector, and cybersecurity threats.
Wow, that's quite a list.
It is, but they're not just sitting back and hoping for the best.
So they have strategies in place to mitigate these potential challenges.
They do. They highlight their investment in employee training and development, which can help address those labor cost concerns. They also emphasize their commitment to rigorous food safety protocols, which is critical for their brand reputation. And they're actively working to enhance their cybersecurity posture to protect against data breaches and other digital threats.
So it sounds like they're taking a proactive and multifaceted approach to risk management.
Exactly. They know that they need to be prepared for anything.
And that's essential for any company operating in a dynamic and evolving industry like fast casual dining.
Absolutely, you have to stay ahead of the curve.
All right, so as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, are there any key takeaways about Chipotle's financial performance that you think our listeners should keep in mind?
I think what stands out is that Chipotle is strategically navigating a complex landscape.
In what way?
While they're leveraging technology to drive growth, diligently managing rising costs, investing in their workforce, and generating strong cash flow.
But they're not immune to challenges.
Right. They face numerous risks that could impact their future performance, from economic headwinds and evolving consumer preferences to intensifying competition and the ever-present threat of cybersecurity incidents.
It's a reminder that even seemingly successful companies must constantly adapt and evolve to stay ahead of the curve.
Precisely. And that's what makes analyzing these financial documents so fascinating.
Why is that?
Well, they provide a glimpse into the strategic decisions, the challenges overcome, and the potential pitfalls that lie ahead.
Well said. Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, is there anything else that you found particularly interesting or surprising in these SEC filings?
There was one detail in the executive compensation agreements that caught my eye. I'm curious to hear your take on it.
Happy to share my perspective. Which detail piqued your interest? Oh, it was their policy on the recoupment of executive compensation. They seem to be really emphasizing accountability at the top.
Yeah, you're referring to their clawback policy, right? It's outlined in their 2024 proxy statement.
That's the one. It's a mechanism to reclaim compensation from executives under certain circumstances.
So when would they actually claw back that compensation?
For one specific scenario they mention is if there's a financial restatement due to material noncompliance with financial reporting requirements.
So basically, if there's a significant accounting error or misstatement, they have the power to take back some of that executive pay.
Right. It's a way to align executive incentives with the interests of shareholders.
And reinforce the importance of accurate and transparent financial reporting. Exactly. They're held accountable for the quality of the financial information they present.
Okay, so let's circle back to Chipotle's international expansion plans. We know they're eyeing growth in the Middle East, but how are they approaching this expansion? Are they going all in, or are they dipping their toes in the water?
The 2024 10K shed some light on their strategy. They've chosen to pursue international expansion primarily through franchising.
Which makes sense, I guess,
Oh, yes.
especially in regions where they might not have as much brand recognition.
Right. It allows them to leverage local expertise and minimize their upfront investment.
But franchising also presents its own unique challenges.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, they'll need to ensure brand consistency, maintain quality control, and navigate different cultural preferences and regulatory landscapes.
You're hitting all the key points. International expansion always comes with inherent complexities.
Yeah, it's not easy.
And for Chipotle, maintaining the integrity of their brand and ensuring a consistent customer experience across borders will be crucial.
Right? They'll need to strike a balance between adapting to local tastes and staying true to the core elements that define the Chipotle experience.
It's a delicate balancing act for sure.
But I guess their success in other international markets suggests they have a pretty solid foundation to build upon.
Yeah, they've shown they can learn and adapt in new environments.
Okay, now before we wrap up, I want to touch on one more crucial aspect, data privacy. We've discussed their acknowledgement of the risks, but what specific steps are they taking to safeguard customer data?
Their 2024 10K outlines a pretty comprehensive approach.
Okay, what does it say?
Well, they're investing in robust cybersecurity measures to prevent data breaches, a top priority these days.
That's good to hear. But prevention is only one part of the equation.
Right. They're also implementing privacy-enhancing technologies.
Interesting. So what do those do?
Well, they help to minimize the amount of personal data that Chipotle collects and stores.
Okay, and are they doing anything else?
Yeah, they're providing training to employees on data protection best practices.
To create a culture of data security awareness?
Exactly. Everyone needs to be on board.
It sounds like they're taking a multifaceted approach, which is essential in today's rapidly evolving data privacy landscape.
Absolutely. Data privacy is no longer just an IT issue. It's a core business concern.
And it requires a holistic and proactive strategy.
Definitely. And Chipotle recognizes that protecting customer data is not only a legal obligation, but also a key element of building and maintaining trust with their customers.
As we conclude our Chipotle deep dive, I'm struck by just how much information these SEC filings contain. They really offer a window into the inner workings of a company.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can find in there.
From financial performance and growth strategies to risk management practices and their commitment to ethical conduct.
It's all there in black and white.
And I think what's most fascinating is how these filings reveal the interconnectedness of all these aspects.
How so?
Well, Chipotle's financial success is intertwined with its approach to managing risks, investing in its people, and upholding ethical standards.
It's all connected.
It's a reminder that financial analysis isn't just about crunching numbers.
Right. It's about understanding the story behind those numbers.
It's about understanding the company's values, its culture, its ability to navigate a complex and ever-changing world.
It's like putting together a puzzle.
Exactly. You're piecing together all these different pieces of information to get a holistic view of the company's journey.
I like that analogy.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into Chipotle's financial landscape, and hopefully our listeners now have a much richer understanding of this company and the factors that are shaping its future.
I hope so too.
And I encourage everyone to explore SEC filings for themselves. They're a treasure trove of information and insights just waiting to be discovered.
And you never know what you might find.
Exactly. All right, well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
It was their policy on the recoupment of executive compensation. It seems like they're really emphasizing accountability at the top.
You're referring to their clawback policy, right?
Yeah.
It's outlined in their 2024 proxy statement.
That's the one. Yeah, it's a mechanism to reclaim compensation from executives under certain circumstances.
So when would they actually claw back that compensation?
Well, one specific scenario they mention is if there's a financial restatement due to material non-compliance with financial reporting requirements.
So if there's like a significant accounting error or misstatement,
Right.
they have the power to take back some of that executive pay.
Exactly. It's a way to align executive incentives with the interests of shareholders.
And reinforce the importance of accurate and transparent financial reporting.
Absolutely. They're held accountable for the quality of the financial information.
Okay, so let's circle back to Chipotle's international expansion plans. We know they're eyeing growth in the Middle East, but how are they approaching this expansion? Are they going all in, or are they dipping their toes in the water?
Well, their 2024 10K sheds some light on their strategy. They've chosen to pursue international expansion primarily through franchising.
Which makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially in regions where they might not have as much brand recognition.
Right. It allows them to leverage local expertise and minimize their upfront investment.
But franchising also presents its own unique challenges.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, they'll need to ensure brand consistency, maintain quality control, and navigate different cultural preferences and regulatory landscapes.
You're hitting all the key points. International expansion always comes with inherent
Yeah, it's
complexities.
not easy.
And for Chipotle, maintaining the integrity of their brand and ensuring a consistent customer experience across borders will be crucial.
Right. They'll need to strike a balance between adapting to local tastes and staying true to the core elements that define the Chipotle experience.
It's a delicate balancing act for sure.
But I guess their success in other international markets suggests they have a pretty solid foundation to build upon.
Yeah, they've shown they can learn and adapt in new environments.
Okay, now before we wrap up, I want to touch on one more crucial aspect, data privacy. We've discussed their acknowledgement of the risks, but what specific steps are they taking to safeguard customer data?
Their 2024 10K outlines a pretty comprehensive approach.
Okay, what does it say?
While they're investing in robust cybersecurity measures to prevent data breaches, a top priority these days.
That's good to hear. But prevention is only one part of the equation. What else are they doing?
Right. They're also implementing privacy-enhancing technologies.
Interesting. So what do those do?
Well, they help to minimize the amount of personal data that Chipotle collects and stores.
Okay. And are they doing anything else?
Yeah, they're providing training to employees on data protection best practices.
To create a culture of data security awareness.
Exactly. Everyone needs to be on board.
It sounds like they're taking a multifaceted approach, which is essential in today's rapidly evolving data privacy landscape.
Absolutely. Data privacy is no longer just an IT issue. It's a core business concern.
And it requires a holistic and proactive strategy.
Definitely. And Chipotle recognizes that protecting customer data is not only a legal obligation, but also a key element of building and maintaining trust with their customers.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into Chipotle's financial landscape. It's been a fascinating journey through their SEC filings.
It has.
We've uncovered some valuable insights into their growth strategy, their approach to managing risks, and their commitment to both their employees and their customers.
And let's not forget those delicious burritos.
Oh, right. How could we?
Mhm.
Those are definitely a key part of their success.
Definitely.
But seriously, folks, if you're interested in learning more about any company, I highly encourage you to explore their SEC filings. You'll be amazed at what you can discover.
It's like a treasure hunt for financial knowledge.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
until next time, happy digging, and remember, knowledge is power.
And burritos are delicious.
All right, that's a wrap, everyone.